So hi all everyone, welcome to today's video. So we are going to discuss today about Hindi newspaper and today's date is 21/12/2021 and we'll be looking into the informations all in detail and like I told, I'm sorry for the interruption. Okay, like we discussed yesterday, we are actually looking only at the national important news because that's the one that's gonna ask questions for your civil services. The other regional and local news, you need only look into your, the local TV news channels or, just see one day news. That is more than enough. You could watch 1 p.m., 3 p.m., 6 p.m. news of a local or regional news importance. Other than that, while taking notes or while reading extensively, read only the news from the Hindi newspaper which is of national importance because the others are not needed for the time being. And yes, of course, when you go for the interview up there, they're going to ask questions regarding your place, regarding which is of national importance. For example, I am from Kerala, so there was a recent verdict of a Sister Abhaya case murder. So they're going to ask questions definitely about that, and I have to prepare questions regarding the same. So such things expect of it, but the others do not make notes. So yes. So the front page we are going to find news which is of national importance and also news which is of your regional importance. Skip that. Read only of the national important news. So we have two of it. Lok Sabha passes bill to link Aadhaar with the electoral clause. That is, for casting vote, we need your voter's ID, right? So here we're going to have a new bill. Okay, new bill for that is for election law amendment. Law amendment, and this is by our law minister, Mr. Rijiju, or Kiran Rijiju, if the full name that you ask me. And this is that we have to link our Aadhaar, linking our Aadhaar to the voter's ID card, so that it's much easier. It streamlines the whole process of it. And one thing is that it is that optional. All these are optional and it's not mandatory for us to link the Aadhaar to the voter's ID, but there is understanding that there will be preference for these people who have linked the Aadhaar to the voter's ID. Maybe they don't have to wait for the long queues and all. So there is added preference or added advantage to the people who are linking Aadhaar to the voter's ID. So yes, that has been discussed over here. Next news is about 6 additional seats for Jammu and 1 for Kashmir proposed. So like I said, always maintain a separate set of file or separate set of sheets. Anything that comes on under Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, because it's very much important because we have lots of historical current informations, and more importantly, we have to cross link dynamic past, present, and future scope everything together because JNK and Ladakh mostly they comes into the news at least once or twice a week, and we already discussed one yesterday, and today we are having about seats allocation for Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh. So it's written over here is that 6 seats for Jammu and 1 for Kashmir division. So all these are besides we have 16 seats reserved for ST and SCs. So see, I told you right. Even though this is just like if I would say that, for example, if Karnataka wants additional seats for their constituencies, that wouldn't come in the front page, right? But here in Jammu Kashmir, that comes in the front page because why? This place as a whole, it was first state and then territory, union territory. So this is something which always comes here in the national importance. That's why it's written over here in the front page, and you have to read through because that's very much important. And then yes, the other news are of regional importance. Do not waste much time over it. You can just read the headlines or the first paragraph. That's more important enough. And you could watch the regional news channels, but do not make notes for that. Okay, don't waste your time again for making down notes and studying all that. Then skip the other pages, 2, 3, 4 pages of your city, your regional, and your place. Okay, and then we have the editorials. So yes, editorials comes to be more important because this is how an IAS officer's answer writing looks like. Okay, sure enough, the word limit has to be taken into consideration over here. because by the length of it we can know that the word limit very much exceeds our word limit, but the way in which they have written, the standard of it, okay, the flow of the language, how they have written it, the structure of the sentences, everything has to be our marker for writing the answer writing for civil services made. And the first editorial is about booster talk. Yes, so booster talk, what is that? What is booster talk? Booster vaccination is that for everything, that is even for Covaxin or Covishield, we have two each, right? That is one for Covishield, that is for 3 months, this is for 28 days. So, first one and second one. So, these are the two doses that we have been prescribed by the medical. But then they are asking that there is actually a lot of talk saying that since we have one more variant, Omicron. Okay, now we have to look into consideration that this is the third one. What was the first variant of corona? Beta, Delta, and Omicron. So we all know that how far Delta was most deadliest one. Okay, more importantly, where the widespread diseases, everyone was contracted with Delta, most of it. I would say suggest that at least 65% of the population is contracted by Delta and even Beta, but Delta was most, it was fast spreading. And Omicron is even more fast spreading than Delta, but it's considered to be less severe. But yes, even then we have lots of apprehension because a new variant is coming out, so we don't know how that's going to be, how far the health infrastructure will be able to, restrict them or at least try to have a resistance towards it. So there is a lot of talks to have a third dose. Okay, one more dose of each of Covishield and Covaxin. So there is a round of talks. So do we need a third booster that will amplify for the others, or maybe at least the booster for the ones who actually need, who have immunoprevalence or the immunity is not very much good. So that is it regarding that. Do read that up. And then okay, and then the strategic bulwark, though this is regarding bilateral relations. So bilateral relations is an important one, especially this comes under your GS paper 2. And I would suggest that this is not just comes only under the bilateral. This could even be asked in your essay paper. Okay, they could ask general questions in your essay paper considering our relationship with Afghanistan, with our bilateral relations with America, with China. So these questions are gonna come. So just expect that and read that. So why are you reading newspapers? So that this becomes a fodder material. Right. For example, they are asking questions about, okay, the corona pandemic question that we discussed. So, suppose they are asking about in your science and technology part, they are asking questions of how far our health infrastructure has come up or how far that is developed. So when you're writing all these static portions, static points of it, we can add current event points that related to your corona pandemic. How far the vaccinations were rolled out, how far we were able to cover the portions, how far we could within a short period of time we were able to vaccinate lots of people, and how far we could second dose vaccinated the number of populations. So we could add such current event points to. I'm not talking about they're going to ask direct questions about current affairs. No, they're going to ask. They might ask, but more importantly, we are reading newspapers so that it becomes fodder points for us. We can add brownie points to the static portions or static questions they're going to ask. We can add on points like that. So that's the reason, that's the real essence why we are reading current affairs or the newspaper. And then we have for Afghan women is great regression. Okay, so this comes important because even though it's happening in somewhere else in a different country, in a different region, which is Afghanistan. So this can comes under, women's protection. Oh my God. Women's protection or human rights, and this could even be asked under your society, Indian society questions in your GS paper 1. Suppose they ask questions about, how far the Indian women are being regressive, or how far the Indian women's societal system, or how far the patriarchal norms are making these women more regressive, or how far they're not being developed. So we can write that by along writing these points, we can also link that with the current situations of these Afghan women, how these Taliban taking over Afghanistan, how far these women of Afghanistan are suffering because of that, how much of violation to the human rights, how many people are dropping out. Also, this comes under, suppose there's a question asking about your economy, Indian economy, they could ask about human resource development. Okay, so that's how you're gonna, you can't just make notes when you read a newspaper. See that where this piece of information could fit in. Okay, so this is one example, like your society, your GS paper one, they could ask that, and this is your for your economy, they could ask questions in terms of human resource. Like how far they could ask that why is human resource considered to be the best or the most invaluable resource of all the times. So we can say that both men and women are considered to be human resource. How much they have, we all have natural resources around us, right? So how are you going to convert that with the use of human resources, proper skills and acquisition? With that we can convert everything, make more developed and better society, increase development, increase the lifestyle betterment. So that's how we're going to have human resources. And when you're writing all the points, you can even include these Afghan women crisis. That is, these Afghan women, they comprises of at least, there will be statistical figures over here. Okay, the comprises of 27%. Afghan women consist of 27% of the workforce of Afghanistan. So what happens? 27% of people are not able to work. So the country is going to miss out of those 27% of workforce. So that's going to push back the country to backward to the development, and it's going to be a very regressive in terms of economic development and in all forms of sector, not just for societal matter, even for the all parts of it. The the political, the religious, and even more importantly, your economical aspect. It's going to draw back or shift back the development that they try to achieve in the 20-30 years of their reign. So that's what we're gonna link. So whenever you find such points, just keep that in note and see where you're gonna fit that in future when you're gonna have right answers, where you're gonna use these points later on. So that's how you're gonna read. And then quarter of hope. Okay, this is about badminton. The snippets over here. So this is not important for me. That is, I am not very much related to badminton. For national importance, this is not needed. Skip it. But if you are personally interested in badminton, then you might expecting such questions for your interview, and then you could just read through it. Otherwise, others do not. Okay, do not waste your time for the unnecessary questions or unnecessary piece of news stories, because we have lots and lots of news to cover. And yes, the sustained attack on federalism. Okay, this is a very important one because we all know that India is a federal nation with a unitary bias. What is a federal nation? Federal nation is like, for example, America, US is a typical form of federal nation. Why do we say US is a, I'll use a different pen. Why do we say US is typical form? It has lots of states under them. Okay, these states are independent of each other. They are very much independent. They are working themselves as an independent state, and they all come together comprising to form one country, that is US. So similarly, we also have something similar to that, like Kerala's system will be different from Tamil Nadu's. Tamil Nadu's will be different from Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand systems will be different from the Bihar. So we have independent structure, everything. But even then, when you're asking who comes supreme, the state government or the union government, we would always say the union government. So that's why we are saying we are a federal nation, but there is a series of federal bias. That is, the federal is given, I mean, unitary bias. That is, the union government. Union government is given more importance. More importance. I would say that because we have three list. That is three list in our, like, we are not making rules like that in our constitution, right? Okay, so and so, so and so. We need to have, systematically sorted out in different categories. So we have three categories or three lists. And what are the three lists? That is union, state, and concurrent. So union list have 100. Okay. 100 types of subject or 100 types of categories, or different, like defense is one. Okay, so like that we have 100 different categories, and state have 61, and concurrent have 47. So state have 61, which is they have the supreme power. Okay, they are the supreme. The state is supreme over here. For the 61 matters, state is the supreme. And for the 100 matters, union government has more supreme authority. But there's a thing called concurrent. That is, it could be included in both state and the union. Such in manner, anyone could do it. If state feels that they have to do it, they could do it. If union feel that they have to do it, they could also do it. But suppose if one item, for example, education. Suppose education is concurrent, it comes under concurrent list, and state have also the jurisdiction, and even the union has a jurisdiction. But both comes with loggerheads. Okay, both have conflicting views about it. The union government will have an upper hand. Okay, union upper hand. But what's happening over here is that for the past few years, we are finding more importance to the federal than unitary. I'm so sorry. That is, we are happening is that more importance to unitary than federal. That is more importance. The union government is becoming more centralized. That is, the power from the state governments are being taken away, and the union government is becoming more and more powerful. This is considered to the physical. Like this person, Mr. Arun PS, is saying that this is especially with the physical federalism. Fiscal is fiscal related to the money policies, like anything related to money or currency policy, for example, demonetization. So all of a sudden, the currency was withdrawn and new currencies came into being. So how come the central government, they didn't ask permissions of the state government? Why they were not ratified about it? And then we have GST. So we have lots of examples over here, being listed out by him. And then we have NEP. So even NEP doesn't comes under the fiscal policy. NEP, that is education policy, it also has to be asked or ratified by the state government. That wasn't happening over here. So this particular editorial talking about how much of the political structure is being changed. The structure is being changed, and how far that is being evolving and coming to more of a unitary government rather than a federal government. So that is being talked over here. Read through it. I think it's a very good article. Just read through it. The next one is what rising inequality means. So this is in regards with our pandemic. Especially, I can't say it's post-pandemic, but even while the pandemic is going on, we're having disparity. Disparity in the sense that between rich and poor. So we know that in India, we have top 10% of rich and bottom 50% of poor, and in between we have 40% of the middle income class. Okay, so when you look into the GDP, we are having all these, the GDP is going high and everything. India is developing so much. So, but this is not reflecting the right true essence of how far. Only the poor people are being more poor and rich are becoming more richer. So when they're contributing so much, what happens? The GDP returns will also be very high. So this is not the right way of assessing how far we are becoming more progressive, because it's only reflecting the growth aspect and not the development. Development is when suppose there are, okay, I'll give you an example. In category A and B, in category A and B, okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 people each in 2 categories. In category A, there are 4 people. In category B, there are 4 people. Suppose in category A, Mr. 1 is making 100 rupees. He is also making 80 rupees. This person is making 5 rupees. This person is making 2 rupees. Okay, this is category A. In second category, person B is making 20 rupees. This person is making 15 rupees. This person is making 16 rupees. This person is making 19 rupees. So when you look into consideration, the GDP of this group will be very high. Okay, but this GDP will be very low. But I'm very sure that we all can understand that this group cannot be called as development. This cannot be called as development. Why? Because only two people are being more richer and these people are becoming more poorer. They might be earning 10 rupees before, but now they are earning only 5 rupees. Those share is being taken away by them. So here it's GDP is getting increased. So when you look into the overall GDP, we can see that okay, the GDP reflecting very good. We're having lots and lots of improvement, but that cannot be taken into considerations. So that is being talked over here, that we need overall development. Everyone needs to be rich, even if it's in a very slower pace. We need development of whole, and that is the word we have to give more importance. Growth, yes, it's very much essential for the development of a nation, but more importantly, development of whole. Increasing or decreasing the disparity between the rich and poor is what more important to take us all forward. So this is what being talked over here and discussed. Please read through it because this also comes under your society, Indian society, GS paper 1, your polity, and even economy, Indian economy. So three categories this could be asked questions regarding, and you could use this information there also. And there's even a chance being asked for your essay paper, and there also you could include these points, and this will be very much helpful to you. And then coming over here, we have the row over boiled eggs. So this is a very I would say it's a funny concept. That is, in Karnataka government, state government, the government started to give out boiled eggs. Okay, boiled eggs from classes 1 to 8 students in the government schools. The reason is why? Because the students were considered to be more malnourished, stunned, and unprovised. So that's the reason why they started giving out boiled eggs. But the problem is that even the people who are starting consuming that, these children and their parents and the other political parties, they're opposing it. They're saying you can't do it because it's hurting the religious sentiments. But over here, we have to see that eggs are not considered to be a religious matter for the Karnataka state government. They're giving out so that they can, make better improvement of the health conditions of these students. So that's why they start giving out the eggs, but it wasn't taken into that sense by these opposition and even the people who are consuming it. So that became a very controversial issue, and just read through that. This comes under your GS paper 1, your society, Indian society, and to a large extent your polity also, GS paper 2. Okay, now editorials are over. Now coming to your national important news, which comes under your page number 8. Pradeep Rawat to take over as next ambassador to China. So this comes under your new appointments. That is, we also have Indian embassies and consulates in all over the world. So our next ambassador to China will be Mr. Pradeep Rawat, and that's just a news. And then the next one is Punjab seeks nod for tough laws on sacrilege. Okay, so this comes under religious sentiments, and we saw like recently there were two lynching or two. I'm not sure whether I can call it a murder, but two killings happened in Punjab temple because of these people. They trespass and they try to hurt the religious sentiments of Punjabis and Sikhs. So that reason, so they're asking the government to have even more imposing on strict laws so that sacrilege would be happening. So that is the case. And then Aishwarya appears before ED. Okay, just read into that. And this one, okay, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitaram saying that okay, 13,109 crore was being taken from the fugitive. Fugitive is what this one Kingfisher owner, what's his name? Okay, Vijay Malavia and Nirav Modi, Chomsky. So they left the country. Yes, they left the country. They duped the government. They left the country. But we have the rights over their property. So what do? We sell it off, get the money and take it back to the government. So we sold off their personal properties and got so much of 13,109 crore rupees, and this is actually a very good feat. So read that through also. And then the next one, government blink sends 2 bills for the review. And this is about your special this marriage act, that's women's age increasing from 81 to 20, I'm sorry, 18 to 21, and the other one for the linking of your voters ID with the other card. So these two bills, yes, there will be opposition problems and discussions on the basis of that. So that has been discussed over here. And then we having Naga calls for repeal of AFSPA. So AFSPA is actually Armed Forces Special Powers Act. That is for example, if government is finding or identifying a special region or a place as a disturbed area, they can pass it at AFSPA. So the army will be there, and they can take stringent actions whenever possible. And we have saw that an unfortunate incident happened. 14 civilians were killed by these army officials, and because they have total power, total authority to do. If they feel or deemed it is right according to the situation, they can do it. They can carry out such stringent actions, and they did that. But unfortunately, they thought it was a terrorist or people from the other cross borders, illegal migrants, but it wasn't that. It was civilians that was killed, and it was very unfortunate incident. And people are uprising against it, especially the northeast and Nagas. So they're asking to repeal AFSA, repealing it. I'm sorry, I don't know what happening today. My spellings are all fumbled right today. Repealing AFSA because they're feeling that we can't give so much of authority, so much of power in anybody's hand. Even if it's armed forces or army, it is not acceptable by anyone. So they're asking the union government to repeal it. So that is what talking over here. The other news are not important. Okay, Jaya Bachchan's remark on this personal, that is not needed. Read through it if you want. You see that particular, just read the first paragraph, that is enough. The next page is page number 10, report on vaccine effectiveness against Omicron in a week. Omicron is a new variant, so we don't know. We have lots of speculations on the basis of that, but it's being understood that even though it spreads very quickly, it's not that very dangerous in comparison to your Delta variant. So that is something. It's a relief or a breather. But yes, again, lots of investigation are being taken, and reports will be submitted in a week. So we'll see in a week what happens, whether it's true or whether it's dangerous or whether we have to, take even more precautionary measures for that. Okay, next news. Open letter from girls seeking right to decide when to marry. Okay, so this is in regarding to your 18 to 21 years of age. So we're having mixed response. Open letter, mixed response in the sense that all these girls throughout the country, they are writing open letters to the parliament. Some are saying that they're happy with the decision, some are saying that no, we're not happy, we're going to get married at 18. So it's actually according to the union government of what to decide and how to go about it. But let's see what's going to happen, and let's see what the union government is going to decide. And then High Court rejects petition of Mughal descendant to possess bread fort. Okay, see, even though, for example, Hyderabad, we all know what happened in Hyderabad. Hyderabad, the Nawab, he wasn't ready to give up his territory, or he wasn't ready to give up his, place. He felt that he was sovereign and he isn't under anyone, not Pakistan, nor India. And he said he's not joining anyone at first. And then he said, okay, I'll be joining Pakistan. But that wasn't acceptable because that Hyderabad was inside the Indian mainland territory. For that reason, it was rejected. And we overthrew the Nawab and we took control of the fort and all the territory, even though it sounds bizarre, but it actually, this is what we have to do and we had to do at that time. So the properties or fort, everything confiscated by the government belongs to the government of India. And the descendant, even though they have a claim over it, but we are not sure how far that could, because the archaeological survey has to come into considerations and the union government has to come into consideration, state government. So when you're approaching the judiciary, that is High Court or Supreme Court, they'll also be looking into all these considerations. So that is what's written over here. The Delhi High Court dismissed petition from the wife of late Mirza Muhammad, of the great grandson of Muhammad Emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar. She's saying that Bradford belongs to us, so you should give it to us. But That is not acceptable, because it's not just accorded by one person. Everyone's opinion has to be taken into consideration. And then learn to laugh, says Madras High Court. Okay, this is not important, but just read through it, because it's actually a pretty much silly. One person, he posted in Facebook of his picture saying that, okay, shooting practice. He just wrote shooting practice. Okay, it was just a very practical joke. There was no harm intention behind it. But the police, they thought he was actually doing shooting practice, and they filed charges against him, filed FIRs against him, and took him to court. So the judge is saying that, you need to distinguish between what is a joke and what is not. And do not take everything seriously. And that was a silly thing. Just read through it. And the next is world news. And read through the headlines, read through the first paragraph, and that is enough. Do not waste your time reading the whole news story, because that is not needed. And yes, that's that for the world news part. And then the next page, we have the business. So even the business also, just read through it, because some part of it comes under Indian economy. Okay. So we have Sensex slice 2.1% on Omicron. Rest of global, yeah. This is not just for the Sensex, but overall the Indian economy is in a threat because of Omicron. We don't know the next. Okay, we thought the Delta was the last one and final one. We were actually trying to recover from it, and then we're having a new variant. So yes, it's pretty much inevitable. After subsiding one variant, we're going to have the other, and then the other, and the other. So we have to start living with Omicron. I mean, living with Corona pandemic, because it's sort of like, we have to start living with it. We have to get a way around it, and not the other way around. So that's that. And MSME is small, mediums, or small, industrial sector. They are having a strike against raw material price increasing. So that's also important. Just read through it. So that's that for today's newspaper. So, and the next one is sports news. Read that only if that is your particular interest. That is, if you're sure that they're going to ask questions when you go for your interview, they're going to ask questions from that area, only then read through. And the others, like I said, just watch the news channel. That will be enough. Just in case they ask for any prelims question on the basis of, test, or, 2020, or anything related to the World Cup sports. You're going to find that, and just attempt these questions for your prelims, and that's it. Do not waste so much of time reading from cover to cover the newspaper. It's all about effectively reading through, being more diligent enough to understanding and identifying what is important and what is not important. So that's it for today's video, and I really hope you like it. And be ready by 7:30 tomorrow. We'll be doing our daily newspaper analysis, and thank you so much.